All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Fitzpatrick Formula. This is my baby, this is my legacy, and this is my honor and privilege to help you add 16 transactions per year, finally become the super producer that you were meant to be, working together with some camaraderie with some realtors across the country. Just going to ask you to be coachable. Think about accountability and think about what it's going to take to create a positive, lasting change in your real estate career. I'd like you to focus on this application today. This is just week 2. Last week was kind of a informal introduction to the concepts of the Fitzpatrick formula. Today we're going to get to know each other better. You're going to submit this application to Annie Mac Works. If you'd list a couple of dates and times that might work for you, I may reach out to you for a one-on-one chat, but the purpose for the application is for us to be able to review kind of where you've been in your real estate career and where you might be heading. Again, my name is Russ Fitzpatrick. I'm the founder of Annie Mac's Works program, and this is the culmination of 34 years of residential real estate experience working with some of the top producers from across the country. I think I can help you if you're open-minded and you're accountable and you're coachable. I'm going to ask you to fill in your name and your email address as it's listed there. I need a telephone number for you. I'd like to know right there, how many years you've been in the real estate business, and uh, we'd like to have your home address for a relationship building, whether it's Christmas cards or birthday cards, just to get to know each other a little bit better over time. I'd like you to really put your thinking cap on if you've been in the business for a long time and tell me how many transactions have you closed in your entire career. I, as a individual real estate agent, have successfully closed 3,400 transactions. I was fortunate enough to have a handful of builders that I represented to bring my numbers up considerably, but I averaged about 160 homes a year through 95 to about 2005. And then obviously the crash happened in Florida in 2006 and 7 and 8. Really didn't know where I was going to go. And that led me to Foreclosure Fridays, which was a course that I created to teach myself how to list REO properties. I'd like to know, how many transactions did you close last year in 2020? How many transactions have you closed this year to date in 2021? During the year to date period, or in the last, let's say in the last 90 days, how many buyers and how many sellers, um, do you do more buyers? Do you do more sellers? Do you do more renters? If you go all the way back to 2018 and 19, give me an idea of what your income was. If you only have income from 2020, put that right there where it says how many transactions did you close last year. How much commission dollars have you earned during the last 90 days? That's 3 months income. So if you made $30,000 in the last 90 days, that means you're averaging about $10,000 a month. If you made, $18,000, it means you're averaging $6,000 a month, right? You get the idea what we're trying to learn about you. I'd like to know what cities you close transactions in. I do run a national relocation and referral network. And if you close transactions in certain cities, we may list you in that network. Which counties and which state are you in? And then if you could just zap off a handful of zip codes that have transactions that you've closed in it. A very internal kind of dialogue for you is this last section here. And I want to spend just a moment on it explaining which each source of business is about. And then we're going to wrap up with a source of business chart that I want to introduce you to. So, the question I have for you as we begin our relationship is, have you received physical closings from brokerage leads? Did any of the deals that you closed, not leads, not referrals, but actual fundings, did any of them come in from your brokerage? Did any of your closed transactions come from your franchise or the organization that your brokerage is affiliated with? Are you a member of Opt City or any of the other Redfin type vendors that might refer you business? Do you use a lead aggregator like a CRM like Boomtown Leads or Commissions Inc. or Conversion or Realty Generator? Do you have a different online lead vendor that you've gotten business from? Are you one of the agents that have cracked the social media code and you're closing deals from Facebook ads or boosting? Check the boxes that apply to your career. Are you spending money right now on Google pay-per-click that have turned into closed transactions? The key word is closed, not opportunities, not future seeking. Have you closed any deals from Zillow or Realtor.com? Are your personal referrals from your own sphere of influence? Is that your primary? Just check that box if you're doing business and closing deals. Do you separate your past customers and repeat and referral business separate from your sphere of influence? And did any closings happen from your past customers? Do you do any lead nurturing work, CRM work? Maybe not affiliated with your Boomtown account, but do you have a customer relationship management philosophy that has turned into closings for you? Do you currently do anything in database mining, farming, absentee owners, for sale by owners, expireds, anything closed? Again, we're not talking about hopes and dreams. We're talking about what you've closed. Are you a member of a BNI group that has turned into a successful closing and funding? Are you doing any other networking like JC's, Kiwanis Club? Are you a member or very active in your PTA, or do you coach sports, or your children are involved in sports and that's turned into closings for you? Are you active in your church and did that close business for you? And if so, check off the networking box. And the last section is areas of specialization that I've been fond of for the past 34 years. Employee benefits program like the Perks and Works program. Do you have any specialization in hero direct marketing like Homes for Heroes or Hero Home Source? Are you a member of any particular luxury niche that you go after? Do you do any REO or property management work, or do you do any asset management assignments from foreclosures? Is it possible that you specialize in multifamily income there at the bottom of your screen? Have you closed any commercial transactions? Do you know of equestrian ranches or special needs specialty? I have a friend who specializes in autistic families moving. I have another friend who specializes in the elderly. Pets become a big deal, and or the elderly. So the first thing I want to do is I want to ask you to complete your application and send it off to service at AnyMac Works. And then we're going to do one more thing together here during week 2 that's going to help us understand who you are. And the first thing you need to do is take the work that you did during week 1 and go ahead and put it into a document. Because anybody who's known me for more than 5 minutes knows that I'm ultra passionate about written goals. I'm also passionate about measurable benchmarks. You need to have some measurable benchmarks, or it's going to be impossible to hold yourself accountable, much less to aspire to certain production benchmarks. So what I want you to do first is go right here on the document that you've been provided and enter your average transaction commission. We're going to go through this one real quick. So this young agent works in a small town where the average house is about $135,000, $150,000. That's the market that they choose to operate in. So their average commission is right at $4,000 per closing. So if we take $4,000 times 16, that's $64,000 in additional income that should be generated from our work together here at the Fitzpatrick Formula. Her closings from last year totaled $22,000. So this is pretty average agent coming into the Fitzpatrick Formula. Only 5.5 closings based on her average of 4,000 a piece. I do want to explain that a half a transaction happens when each unit is 4,000, but you closed 22,000, right? So 4,000 times 6 would have been 24,000. She did 4,000 times 5.5. So she did 5.5 residential real estate closings over here in blue last year. So she's going to protect to keep what she's got into 2021. And then this is what she's looking to add during 2021. She's looking to add 4 closings from nurturing seasoned leads, mostly via text. This is the system we talked about during week 1, and we believe that we can get her an additional 4 of these. Now, let's take you. You're in a market that the average sale is 300,000. The average sales 300,000, then your average commission might be $9,000, right? So 9 times 16 goes here. If your average commission is 6,000, you get the drill, right? You're going to do that math for us. The only thing that has to change over here is your equation relative to your average commission. So it would be 9,000, then it would be 18,000. We don't have to bore you to death with this, but you get the idea. 8 plus 9, that's 7. That'd be 27,000, I believe. Yes. And on and on and on. So you can see how that document changes based on this clear number right here. And I'm going to just underline this for your full effect, ladies and gentlemen, full effect. I cannot tell you how important the source of business chart is to my relationship to you. Every realtor I've ever managed has a source of business chart. Every realtor I manage manages these sources of business around certain benchmarks. So when you start out working your absentee owner campaign, it's the normal human experience to project forward more business than what's likely. What I mean by that is, you might get inquiries, but you're probably going to have about 4 closings from this campaign. At the end of the calendar year, you will have funded 4. So when you start a geographic farm, for example, there's the typical entrepreneurial seizure. She says, oh my gosh, I'm starting a farm. I'm going to do a deal a month for my farm. But the reality is you might go the first 6 months without a deal in your farm. And then it might trickle in at 1 deal every other month for a little while until you built your professional reputation in that geographic farm area. And that's the same for absentee owners. There's a snowball building period that has to take place with each of these lead sources that we're introducing you to here at the Fitzpatrick Formula. And the most important one, I think, for your personal brand is certainly your sphere of influence and your database mining. We're going to spend a little bit of time on that in future weeks. But what I'd like you to do is take your personal production from the last calendar year, add up how many average transactions you closed. So what was your number? Let's say you made $80,000 last year and your average commission was 9,000. So you'd have you'd have about 9 times $8,000 closings, right? That would equal up your previous buyer or seller side. This consumer or this realtor happened to do more buyer side last year. They didn't have any listings out of their 5.5, and they were from miscellaneous sources. But what we're going to do together is we're going to get proactive on our sphere of influence database mining. We're going to get proactive on an area of specialization that we have a pride and ownership centered around a certain subdivision that we're the expert in. That's the only thing Zillow can't beat me at. Zillow can't be better than me in a local subdivision. Absentee owner campaigns. These are people who are not living in their home. And then last but not least, the seasoned lead nurturing text that I'm so proud of what we've accomplished so far. So if you're going to continue in the Fitzpatrick formula, you're going to submit a source of business chart that is accurate to your average transaction. Calculate your additional income that will be added from Fitzpatrick Formula. Go ahead and put that in writing. List your last year's closings here in the blue section. If you're someone who's overambitious, I can tell you I would do it. Break down your personal business from last year and put it into additional sources so that you can say, well, I also run my Boomtown account. I also run my this. That helps us learn each other. I have a kid I've been coaching for years that has like 30 sources now because he's 20 some odd years in the business. But ultimately, I'm going to be focusing on 4 key sources of business with you over the next several weeks inside of the Fitzpatrick formula. You're going to tell me where you've already been, both in your application and in your timeline. So if you do the right thing here during week 2, you're going to clean up and submit this application to service at AndyMac Works. You're going to go ahead and send us your source of business chart as well. Make sure your name's somewhere on it. Just, it's a Word document, so it's easy to use. You just type in your name right there. It says Pauline Smith's source of business chart. And then go ahead and break that down for us. Send it all to service at AndyMacWorks.com. And let me ask you something. As a favor to me, would you please post whatever you're comfortable posting in the Fitzpatrick Formula private group? Reach out to your loan officer from AndyMac. Hey, this thing's going well, man. I really appreciate the Fitzpatrick Formula. It's given me the kind of structure and accountability that I need to take my business to the next level. And honor that loan officer with your next pre-qual or your next referral for a mortgage if you could. This is an important piece of the sponsorship puzzle for us because we're paid by AndyMac Home Mortgage to provide value to every realtor in the country. But we do that in a way that hopefully matches you up with the right loan officer and makes this thing work, and it's reciprocal in nature and it's fun and everybody's getting along. And as I always say, it's early in the year 2021 right now, but if you do your source of business chart and you submit your application to us, I'll bet you dimes to dollars we're going to be high-fiving at this year's holiday party, post-COVID holiday party. We're going to have something exciting to bring everybody together. And I'd love to say high five you at the holiday party and let's have a good old time. Thanks for being here for week 2. Submit your application and your source of business chart to us, and we're off to the races.